Hi everyone, this is reuventiv back with another video. So today I'm going to be talking about Miyazaki's Spirited Away. I decided to watch this movie because I saw a lot of buzz about the Ghibli AI art discourse. So I wanted to see the movie and all the art. And I mean, I'm drawing fan art for it, so take a wild guess what I thought about the movie. So I was expecting the movie to have a lot of dialogues in it, and I was just waiting for a proper conversation to take place. That's because usually I used to watch Disney movies, and if you've seen Disney movies, they have a lot of sing songs in them. You know, they have a lot of conversations taking place in them. One of my favorite Disney movies is Tangled, and if you've seen Tangled, you'll know that they sing a lot of songs and they have a lot of conversations, and there's always something interesting going on with the movie. But it's like Miyazaki makes his characters embrace the silence. Genuinely, at first I was just bored, but I decided to go through the movie. I thought there would be some very heart-wrenching, gut-punching dialogues, but there weren't. And that made me think how not saying a lot of words can still leave a lasting impact on the audience. In this movie, emotions were portrayed through actions, not a lot of words were spoken. Personally, I sometimes find it very difficult to make long-form YouTube videos because I've never really been a good jokester. I've always been a very quiet kid who would sit in the corner and just read books instead of having a conversation with someone. But then I met people who would talk a lot and they were very loved, so it made me want to change myself. To be honest, I've still not changed that much. There's only some topics that I can talk endlessly about, only with some friends. But other than that, I'm pretty quiet. So in these YouTube videos, I'm always thinking of what to say, like what joke can I make or how can I keep the audience engaged, because personally I get bored by a 10-minute art time lapse in which a person isn't saying anything. I mean, it is, I guess, kind of beautiful to see the artwork taking place as well, but I'm just telling you about my preference, that I get bored if there's not a lot happening in the video. But then I also worry that I'm yapping too much. I was particularly worried about that in another video I made. It was the how I draw lips video, and when I was editing the subtitles / captions for that video, there were just so many subtitles. I was thinking that I am not shutting up. Like, I was thinking, what if people have an issue with me speaking so much? But there was just so much information to give. I just had to say it. But yeah, I got carried away from our main point anyways. So what really hit me, and I related to it personally as well, was when Chihiro, our main character, has gotten this very realistic understanding that there is no way her parents are coming back. What's done is done, and now she has no choice but to survive. I loved that scene so much. Even in my life, I've had unimaginable things happen to me. Something that I never expected, something that's not even in my wildest imagination. But it happened, and I had to accept it. I had to pick myself up and be a stronger person. Another thing I wanted to talk about, I just remembered, are the visuals. So as a kid, I used to watch animes, not a lot. I mean, I wasn't a hardcore anime fan, but I used to watch whatever was on the channel that we had on our home TV. Now, animes, they have very beautiful scenes sometimes, like there's a frame where water is dripping on a plant, or cars are passing by, or the flowers are swaying in the wind. You get my point, right? So this element is also presented here. It makes you really appreciate the beauty of these small moments, and ever since I've noticed this, I've been focusing on the little things in life. Like, I'll notice the clouds in the sky, or how the plants move in the wind, or how the sunlight makes the leaves shine, kind of fluorescent. I know it sounds a bit cringy, but hear me out. It has changed my perspective, and I'd love to notice these little things, to notice the beauty in these little things. Another thing which I'm sure a lot of you might have noticed is that there's a difference in how good characters are portrayed in the movie and how bad characters are portrayed in the movie. So the first character that comes to mind is Kamaji, the character who Chihiro was supposed to work for, the man with the glasses. So I initially thought he was super ugly and that he's going to turn into some weirdish monster and eat her. I did not expect him to be kind at all. Especially if I remember correctly, I think he put a blanket on her when she was sleeping, and I just thought that scene was so sweet. At first, we only see a little bit of their interaction where he has a very cold persona, but when we see that he actually has a soft spot for Chihiro, he gives up his tickets for her at the end of the movie. That really made me respect his character, and it gave him a lot of character depth as well. The next characters that I want to talk about are Yubaba and Zeniba, and these characters are basically sisters. The character that you see on the left, that is Yubaba that I drew. So when I first saw them both in the movie, I thought maybe it represents yin and yang. But then I read later on that it might represent two sides of the same soul, or this idea that good and evil coexist in the same person. But yeah, I was not expecting Zeniba to be good. When she opened the door to Chihiro, I was scared shitless. Like, oh my god, Chihiro's been caught and now she's going to be enslaved for life or something like that. But yeah, pleasant surprise, I guess. Also, there's this hidden symbolism of her train journey that I loved. Okay, so first thing, she stopped running from her problems and she's going to face something completely unknown to her. She's trying to fix it. In the movie, the train is said to move one way. Okay, remember that. They say that the train moves one way. So I guess that signifies Chihiro growing up. She's gaining maturity and she can never go back to her childishness. I mean, to be honest, she's been through a lot. The thing is that your parents, they're supposed to protect you, and she had to navigate everything by herself. It kind of reminds me of Coraline and Monster House, which I know that they're both very different movies, but the element is in both of them where both of their parents just don't care because they're so busy in working and providing a life for them, I guess, that the kids are just ignored and they're up to their own adventures. A lot of things in life are to be figured out by yourself. Nobody's gonna guide you about it. Like a simple example I would give is dealing with emotions, anger or sadness. Okay, so I know this is completely unrelated, but I don't remember the book name. I read the book and it had this one line in it that made me change my perspective about things. The main concept was this, that if an emotional situation happens and you're feeling angry about it, there is a gap in between your thoughts about the emotion and how you're going to convey your reaction to that particular emotion. So if you take that gap and you think about your response, what's it going to be? Is it going to be a calm response, or is it going to be a very agitated response? Do you want the person in front of you to feel positive feelings or negative feelings? Basically what the purpose of your response is. In that gap, you should know what the purpose is. And if you want to be a better person, then take some time to think about it. I just thought about this book. Anyways, we got carried away. Moving on to a very favorite character of mine, which low-key reminds me of myself, is the character No Face. So No Face wants attention of people around him. So when Chihiro is kind to him and she opens the door for him, he wants to have this sort of emotional attachment with her. When he saw that the workers in the bathroom were obsessed with gold, he showered them with gold, all in the hope that they would love and accept him. So that's his purpose, to be accepted. So I'm guessing that when he starts eating people, he's basically absorbing their personalities because he doesn't have a personality of his own. So it reminds me of myself, because as a kid I read a book, or I think I read a poem by Roald Dahl, and he said that the deeds that ugly people do are reflected on their faces. A person's beauty is determined by their actions and their thoughts. So you could have stuck-up teeth and a double chin, but true goodness will shine out of you like sunbeams and you will always look lovely. It's going to reflect in your face, the kind of person you are. So I decided as a little kid that I'm gonna give people compliments, and they love me because I made them feel good about themselves. But I was wrong. Okay, I never got a thank you, and I never got a compliment back ever. I just think people thought that I'm like a fake bitch, and you can't just expect someone to be emotionally close with you just by giving them compliments. Just like No Face learned this lesson, that giving gold and seeing people's happy faces doesn't mean that they're exuding that joy of having him around. They only wanted the gold. And for me, being super nice and attentive to people and complimenting little things about them, all while I had this quiet hope of forming a connection. The thing is that I've met a lot of unkind people in uni, and I thought me being kind will get people to reciprocate that kindness to me, but it never happened. Eventually, though, I did find one good friend who was sincere and truly kind. Best part is I didn't compliment her a lot. I complimented her very rarely. So I just had to add in this part. Okay, so I remember the stink spirit, and when I was watching the movie, I kept thinking, why is Chihiro doing all this dirty work? Like, she could just run away or she could refuse it. But I realized later that she was just being kind. She chose to see beyond appearances. She never expected that slime monster to be a beautifully glowing dragon. She just chose to see someone who needs help. Even I was low-key feeling so guilty that I thought he's a hopeless cause and a waste of time anyways. And I thought that he just wanted a calming bath, and that his natural form was to be disgusting. But even then, I realized that no one's right to comfort and happiness should be negated. It made me realize that I should have some kindness and decency in me, to not let assumptions control my narrative, to expect nothing in return but to only provide solace. Now let's talk about the three heads. I thought they were super weird and that they had no purpose of their own. Their only purpose was to obey Yubaba, and that was it. And I thought that was super boring. That's shown in the entire movie. Even when Kashira, or the three heads, are transformed into Yubaba's baby, they act like the stupid baby. They don't have any will of their own. Initially, I thought that they crossed into the spirit domain and they were beheaded and enslaved by Yubaba. I thought maybe they were three brothers, like triplets, and they would have a very melancholic backstory to them. But they weren't really discussed. They didn't play quite an important role, but I'd say their appearance had a certain lasting effect on me, as I decided to draw them here as well. I found them quite interesting. Alright, moving on to the part that confused me the most. I had endless questions about their situation, the parents. First thing was, if all the pigs were humans or adults that had crossed over into the spirit world, then there's a very realistic possibility that those humans who were never saved were consumed or held in contempt for a lifetime. The question I had in my mind was this: were the parents aware of them being punished for their greed when they turned into pigs? Maybe when they were in the spirit realm they knew. But then again, if they knew that they were trapped in the pig's body, they would definitely try to approach Chihiro. But they didn't, because they were just acting like pigs. So that theory is out of question. The answer to the whole ordeal is this though, that greed makes people lose themselves. So they lost themselves. Because I was thinking, why pigs? Why did they get converted to pigs, Why not something else? So they stopped thinking logically and they lost their self-awareness. Listen, I have to yap about this. The fact that they had this lack of respect and entitlement, that they didn't even think that it was appropriate to ask for permission to eat the food. I mean, yeah, I know they planned on paying, but even if it was a human shop, it's blatantly disrespectful to assume that a person exists to serve you. I mean, they had no humility. I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to explain. I mean, the father, he was impulsive, right? But I thought the mother would be perhaps a voice of reason, but she wasn't. Now, when I first saw the whole thing, it reminded me of a performance piece called Rhythm Zero by Marina Abramovic, I think. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Sorry. Okay, listen, I know it's quite a harsh comparison, but I'm just telling you what I thought about it, okay? So, summary of the performance piece is this, that she stood still in a gallery for 6 hours while she laid out 72 objects on the table, a variety. Some were harmless like a rose or feathers, others were dangerous like a knife or scissors or a gun. Initially, it was a very tame experiment. Things started escalating when somebody cut her clothes off. They cut her with knives, they pricked her with thorns. Now my memory is a bit hazy, so I don't know if she looked them directly in the eye, but they did run away in fear when the experiment / gallery was over because of the fear of having to face their consequences. Now here's where the similarity is between the two things that I mentioned. Chihiro's parents and the audience members of this gallery, they both sank into selfishness. Their masks came off when they thought that there were no consequences to blatant greed and selfishness because they thought that they were entitled to it. So Chihiro's parents assume that they have money, so it's theirs. Just like in Rhythm Zero, the people see Marina as a thing for them, not as a person, because they think that they're entitled to it. But anyways, that's pretty much my thoughts about the entire movie. I still have to watch other movies. I'm particularly interested in Howl's Moving Castle. Anyways, hope you guys had fun. I think the last part where I was comparing Rhythm Zero performance with the parents' gluttony was a little far-fetched, but I just thought about it, okay? And I had to say it. I'm not entirely sure if I got the point that I was trying to make across, but we rolled. So until next time, this is reuventiv signing off, and I'm sorry if I spoke really fast. I had to get my point across. Bye bye.
Next eyelashes, blank stare.